I, 23F, found letters from my fiancé, 38 meters, in my late mother's things that suggest he had more than a schoolboy crush on her. Stop messaging me please if you're going to tell me to kill myself, abort my baby, or that my mom deserved to die. At least have the guts to say it on here where everyone can see what a vile person you are. Original text. I, 23F, come from a pretty small town way up north. There aren't many people who live up here and pretty much everyone is only a degree or two separated from everyone else. My fiancé, 38 meters, and I have been dating for 3 years and are getting married in the fall. My fiancé knew my mom his whole life because she was best friends with his older sister. My mom was 5 years older than him and I always knew he had a small crush on her, but the way it was always explained to me was that it was like a little schoolboy crush when he was a little boy. My mom passed away at 35 when I was 15. It was an incredibly dark time for everyone, especially my brother, who was 10 at the time, and I. It still hurts and I miss her every day. My father has recently made the choice to retire. He wants to downsize, so he is selling the home we grew up in. My brother and I have been going through our mother's things that had been packed away. She was a writer, so she had a lot of journals and letters to go through. Among them, folded into notebooks and folders scattered randomly around, were letters written to my mother from my fiancé, some of them from after she had married my father. There's a letter to her from when he was 14 that's really the most covertly romantic one from right before she began dating my father that's clearly a response to one of her letters that is pretty flirtatious, another one when he was 16, about a year and a half after the last letter, after she married my dad and had me, that basically said he knew that they were in different places in their lives but he'd still be there for her if she ever needed anything and that he still cherished all of the memories they had together. The last one I could find was from 5 years before she died, and it was again clearly a response to a letter she had written him, just talking about what was going on in his life. I guess what's bothering me the most is that I had no idea they were ever this close, or that his romantic feelings for her were ever more than a schoolboy crush. I also feel kind of guilty that I read the letters when they weren't meant for me. I'm also hesitant to bring it up to him since the only person I talk about my mom to is my brother, since her death is still so painful to talk about. Any advice on what I should do, if/how I should talk about this to my fiancé would be greatly appreciated. Oh goodness. Okay, let's unpack this from biggest red flag to smallest. He was closer to your mother's age than he is to yours. He is 15 years older than you. You've been together since you were 20 and he was 35. Does it not seem to you that he waited until he was in the clear for max creepiness? He waited a couple years after it was legal to a point where it was moral to prey on you. You said you looked like your mother in a comment. You, his current fiancé, look like someone he was infatuated with in the past. But at least we know he's keeping it in the family. While your mom was married, he still approached her. I don't know about you, but when someone I had a fling with gets into a relationship, I leave them alone and mind my business. He's using you as a replacement for your mother. I'm sorry that this comment is harsh, but you came to an advice sub. This is my honest advice. Find someone closer to your age. You're in two completely different stages of life, and I can't reiterate this enough. He was in love with your mother. Now, he's planning on marrying you. After he couldn't get his main target, he went for her daughter. Honestly, this whole arrangement is a mess in my opinion. Do you look like your mum? I would be worried he only sees you as a stand-in for her TBH. You and I are basically the same age. What has your dad had to say about any of this? Lot of the comments here are obviously super unhelpful, but I really encourage you to look at the overall message that they're sending you. Everything you've described here is a massive red flag. I'm not saying call off the wedding or dump him, but you'll need to talk a lot. Take some time before you talk to him to write down some direct questions you have about this, and what you need explained. Consider why you're here. What do you suspect? What do you feel like is wrong? What do you need to hear from him in order for this to be okay? And what is the likelihood that he'll say whatever it takes to keep you here? Please go slow and please be careful. This is scary. I kind of wonder if he only dated you because you remind him of your mother. Do you both look alike or share any similarities? So many things about this situation make me uncomfortable. My 28F sister 25F and brother-in-law 25M have a misconception about how pregnancy works. Should I explain things to her? We grew up in an isolated, conservative village with no sex education, and talking about sex is taboo. I eventually left, but my sister and Bill still live there. My sister is pregnant with her first child, and she and her husband believe that having a baby involves not just one, but many sperms, so they need to have sex every day to build the baby. She complains about how she is tired of having sex every day. She is also thinking about cheating on my Bill with another guy because he has better genes and that would make the baby stronger. Should I tell her the truth? Is this a joke? I'm having a hard time taking this one seriously, but yes, put your arm around your sister and tell her the facts, especially because she's considering cheating on her husband. Bring a book. Bring two actually, something sex ed and what to expect when you're expecting. Considering that she's willing to risk the faithfulness of her relationship and the well-being of everyone involved to better build the baby, it would just be best to break it to her if she's willing to listen. This can't be serious. Does she not have a mobile phone and the internet? Tell her the truth so she doesn't do something dumb and cheat, or get an STD that can harm the baby and her. I'm 20F, pregnant and want to have an abortion. My mom is a staunch pro-life activist and so active in our community that I could never do it without her finding out. Too long didn't read. I'm pregnant and have nowhere to go since my mom is an anti-abortion activist and would disown me if I have an abortion, but I don't want to have a baby now, or maybe ever. My mother is an evangelical Christian and extremely pro-life. Like it's almost all she cares about. I have 9 siblings because her and my father, they're divorced now, have never believed in birth control. My mother runs a website/brand whose sole reason for existing is to stop abortion, with a few other extremely right-wing ideals, banning gay marriage, preventing sex education in schools, etc. She has been doing this for years now and has a very large following on social media. When I was younger I was on board with the whole thing because it did seem like we had the perfect life, and why wouldn't everyone want to live this way? But as I got older I realized it was all a lie. My parents were miserable, my dad did some terrible things, and was borderline abusive. There's a lot of hypocrisy going on in my family, and in the last couple years I have been greatly questioning my beliefs, but I have not told anyone in my family, yet alone my mom. During an anti-abortion rally last year, I took a lunch break by myself and met a man at a coffee shop and we hit it off very well. I told him about my family, he's had similar experiences, and we began a relationship in secret. And now I'm pregnant, but in no way want to have this baby. In fact, I truly would like to get an abortion, which my boyfriend supports, but there is nowhere within hundreds of miles that I could get it done without being recognized. So my options are to tell my mom, but she would kick me out/disown me for sure, and while I don't share her beliefs, I don't want to be disowned, and other than my boyfriend, I truly don't have anyone that would understand. The other option is to have the baby, in which case I might be able to stay at my mom's, but I don't want that either. What can I do? I'd talk to Planned Parenthood about this. Phone them up when your mother isn't around and delete the number from your contacts right after. I'm sure they can get it done incognito. I think it's also worth it to say, you may need to reevaluate your relationship with your mother too. Figuring out your options with a professional might help you figure out what you want to do and how to do it. I worked at Planned Parenthood and we had this happen once. He showed up early just to be able to provide an abortion for one of Constant Protesta's daughter. She was terrified of being spotted. We even escorted her in and out of a back entrance. They will do everything they can to help you. Make the drive somewhere else for the procedure, even if it's hundreds of miles. Do you mean you would be recognized by protesters outside the clinic? If so, wear a mask, hoodie, etc. If not, I'm sorry but I don't know what you mean. I'm really sorry you're dealing with this. There is nowhere within hundreds of miles that I could get it done without being recognized. Is this because you think that protesters will recognize you? Contact a few clinics and see if they can help you. They may be able to provide an escort service. Take advantage of COVID and rock up to your appointment with a face mask and sunglasses. Cover your hair, style it differently, have a big hood. It's winter, you can throw on a scarf. Borrow a coat from a friend if there's any chance someone might recognize you by yours. Take a cab even if you're just picking up pills so your car doesn't get spotted. On the very slim chance someone does recognize you, they likely won't be certain enough to risk stirring a massive amount of shit by informing your mother. If anyone does tell on you or take your photo, you will have plausible deniability. This is scary. Best of luck.